he just becomes more goated by the chapter. Nagumo, please don't get rid of him. What's up, guys? And here we are to do a breakdown / review of chapter 136 of 4 Nights of the which is known as the Advancing Dragnet. And I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a scientist. Experiments. Whoa. That was actually the Lexan voice taking over. Where did that even come from? But I ain't gonna lie to y'all, ladies and gentlemen. This chapter is another case of it being short, yet sweet. But we got a whole lot of content to eat. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me, ready. I summon you to this reality. 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact. Man. I'll admit, I saw it straight from Reddit. I'm not even gonna mention it. It's Reddit. I saw it straight from Reddit. Someone pointed out in this cover page that not only is it beautiful in the sense that it's Pelgard, reaching out to Percy, giving him the fatherly affection that he'll never get from his own actual biological father in Ironside, and it shows the connection between the two. The connection, really, outside of Ironside, Percival's main connection to Camelot, he knew Mortlock for less than a day. He knew Mortlock for 2 hours. So his only real nightly connection to Camelot, outside of all the negativity, living nightly connection to Camelot, let me put it that way. His living nightly connection to Camelot, and his only positive influence outside of his actual allies in Pelgard. Someone pointed out the fact that as beautiful as this is, that Percy is being accepted and praised and given that fatherly affection he'll never get from his own biological father, the hand's not touching. It's not touching. And note how he's so close. Look at the gap here, bro. He's so close from just patting that boy on the head, accepting him, going into his fold to bring Percival to his. But there's that distance, that slight distance that will always keep the two apart. One man is loyal to the love of his life, his wife, and cannot let her despair. And the other is loyal to the idea of his friends. And he knows that is inherently incompatible with Pelgard. And I love how it's portrayed as simply as the hand in the head not connecting. That distance, it's so simple. It's so clean. So just know, when you walk away, you won't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go. It's so true, bro. It's so true. Why is Kingdom Hearts music gotta be applicable to everything in life? But I'm sorry. Let's actually hop into chapter 136. Fun fact, if you want the 25-minute live reaction to this chapter, it's over on Patreon for as low as $1 a month. Or you can become a member for as low as $3 a month to get that and many more perks, like the ad-free variation of this video. So, with that being the case, let's actually hop into chapter 136. Percival is alive? Yes, he is. Kind of, sort of. But I do love Pelgard's just genuine shocked reaction here. It is straight I can't even imagine how that feels. Because it's such an oddly specific situation. Notably, you could just say, well, it's the loss of a loved one, Pencil. They are not loved ones. I do love Uncle They've met twice. Technically 3 times, but twice. One, in their first fight, where Pelgard awakened his magic in chapter 6, maybe 5. That's their first encounter. Then they have a very brief passers-by at the Lance reveal, and Lance teleports them away before Pelgard can even reach Percy and crew. And then they have their run-in at Leonis, which also is very, very brief and barely focuses on Percy. Because he does get picked up. He does ask Pelgard to join them, and then Pelgard does pick him up and be like, yeah, you're coming with me, bucko. So, he has that little interaction with them, but then the rest of the interaction is based on Gawain, and then he just scurries away. So, these two are not loved ones. It's how do I put it? Ever had here? It sounds so weird. I have a very big family, and by proxy, my very big family has a very big network of friends. So, whenever one of them friends does happen to have a baby, your boy will be introduced to the baby. I love the baby. I mean, I like the rapper's music too, but also just the baby. And I'll meet that baby like once. But darn it, I'd be so sad if I heard that baby had left. Had went to Camelot. It could only live there now. But only for me to come back and hear a few years later, 2 years later, that Babu was fine. I'd be happy to. I think that's like the only kind of sort of comparison, but even then it's off. Because like, it's not a Babu that Pelgar's worried about. I mean, it's his baby boy, but it's not his baby boy, if you know what I'm saying. But still, I love the passion behind it. He literally, he like, slams his hands on the table. He's like, what? Nani daisuke? And we see that Pelgard calms down immediately. No one even has to say anything. Donnie, arms crossed, he's like, and did you seriously have to tell him this? Gowther literally can't cross his arms. He's only got the one. So hands in his lap like, Anne, did you seriously have to tell him this? And then Anne is hands folded. Yes, I seriously had to tell him this. And we see Pelgard saying, he's alive, is he? That darn kid. I was so worried. How you gon' like Ironside, dog? How you gonna let your brother from another mother? How you gonna let him be a better daddy to you, to your kid? That's not your kid. I guess technically not. And Percy kind of is like he's kind of like the anti-Gowther in the sense that he wasn't supposed to. But like, it's so crazy. It is insane to me how much better a father figure, I won't exactly say father, but a father figure that Pelgard is in comparison to his competition. Like what? It's crazy. Let's see. What fine news. And you know what? I really like the little detail here. We don't see Gowther's reaction, because Gowther couldn't care less. He met Percy once. Like, that was it. Like, I think it's literally, it is literally only in the Demon Village, which took place over the course of an afternoon. So, like, it really wasn't long that they spent there with Gowther. So Gowther's like, I still want to wipe his memories. Permanently. But I do love how Anne and Donnie both smile. Because, like, even though Pelgard is certifiably and absolutely and indubitably their enemy, even though that Pelgard is clearly Opulus Prime. I guess you could literally just say Optimus Prime. Like, he is straight up an op. To see someone, anyone, care for their friend just as clearly as they do, that's gotta hit home. That's gotta hit home. And, like, presumably, Pelgard is probably having more of a reaction than anybody else that they know. Like, sure, Mel also met Percy, but at the same time, that was also for like a day, too, because Gawain had the runs for Mel's food. And who knows how much they actually interacted there. Elizabeth also knew Percy for maybe like a day or two. If that. If she even interacted with them that much outside that one meeting they had. And then who else have they met? Ardbeg cooked. All the Chaos Knights they met cooked. I mean, Dolcemonte, they didn't go visit the Demon Village, at least not presumably. So, like, I know they're probably feeling so happy enough to smile, because this is actually someone caring for Percy in the exact same way they did. And that's so sweet. However, we do get to see that Anne does admit it comes with a few caveats. He's alive, but he's more so alive, if you know what I'm saying. All in quotation marks. And she says, I'm sorry, Big Papa Pell. I can tell you're so unbelievably and indubitably goated, but I'm sorry. I can't say beyond that. He is alive, but he hasn't woken up this whole time. Bro has been eepy for so long. So, Nagava, I know you said you don't have to read some Nilly Sins. And in this case, I think this may have actually helped, because this is beat for beat. Plot for plot, slam for slam. My man, jam. Like, what, this is 136? When did the time skip start? 129. So like 7 chapters from Mel getting got to the reveal of his body. 7 chapters, Percival getting got to the reveal of his body. Up, Percival's alive, but he's not really alive. You know what I'm saying? Mel's body's in perfect shape. Percy's body's in perfect. But I guess here's the thing. It's a rehash loosely. It's a rehash loosely of the Mel scenario. It's not a beat for beat thing. Because number one, we don't see Percival at all in this chapter. But based on the length of his hair, it proves that he is still alive. Like, well, obviously they say he's alive. But, like, in terms of the fact that he's still, like, aging. His body's still developing. Notably, when Meliodas got... He's just stayed. Except Elizabeth, like, tilted his head to the right. I was like... And then Mel was like... His head fell over because he couldn't support. It was like, he was just gone. His body was there, but I think it literally wasn't alive. Like, I need to reread those chapters. It's been a while, so I don't have the specifics fully down in my dome piece. But I'm pretty sure, like, he was just cooked. Like, he was not there. Bro, if you were to knock on Mel, there'd be no response. He wasn't snoring, wasn't sleeping, anything like that, wasn't even breathing. So, Mel was fully, at least I think so. Meanwhile, Percy's he's still alive, for the most part. His hair is growing. He's likely breathing. I wonder if he's eating. Like, they just have to feed him liquids? I'm not sure. But essentially, this is especially interesting with Percy, right? Because remember what was revealed in Four Knights. Everything in it. Every living creature has a little something we like to call life spirits. Percy himself was a life spirit. The body that was inhabited, for all intents and purposes, should be stripped of all life spirits. Considering Percy seemed to have dominion over all of them, or at least the ones that he contained within him, it should be the case that Sir Percival took one sip, swung around his cup a little bit, looked into the sky, told you to stay hydrated, because you should stay hydrated, and I was like, deuces, and then left. I thought he may have taken everything with him, considering he had dominion over everything. But no. Considering there is still life in that body, that means there is a spirit there. Which is interesting. And if there's a spirit there, if only we had a prodigious talent. Someone who could hypothetically summon spirits. Maybe more. Maybe summon the spirit that would most likely exist in Percy's body now. Maybe do a little something. Sprinkle their itty bitty sticky little fingers all over everything. And we're to let us know. For real. Is Percy gone or is he not? Kion, get the check. But I'm assuming that's probably Kion's main role. He'd probably figure out something with Percy. Though, with that being the case, there is the parallel to Mel, but it's not really... Well, I mean, it's a reference. At least in my opinion, it's a straight callback reference. Like, 7 chapters, body reveal, he's not actually alive, though. I hope... Once again, I'm hoping he stays cooked at least... Let's see, we're currently on 136. You can't have too long without your MC. Then again, there's another series that goes very, very long without their MC, which I actually really, really like. But of course, I read that series long after that side MC's arc had been concluded and released, and I was more so catching up and reading week by week with the final arc. So, I'm not exactly... Yeah, but it may be risky. I know Percival isn't the most popular of characters, but like, especially if we're sticking with the Donners and we're sticking with Anne, it's very, very likely that Percy's gonna come back soon, which I kind of don't like. I'm leaning against it. Once again, I do love Percy. Don't get me wrong. Percy, he's goaded in his own ways, but goaded in your own ways, Lancelot. Goaded in your own ways, Gawain. Go in your own ways, Nasi. Like there's so many. Go in your own ways, Tristan. Like there's so many different characters I would love to see in a Percy-less world, in a world without hope. Essentially, I would love to see that prosper. Hypothetically, in a way, speaking metaphorically, that we get to see a world without Percy. At least for once again, just for a solid chunk. It doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't have to be forever in a day or nothing, but just enough of a solid chunk that it feels meaningful that Percy's gone. Because I'll admit, it still kind of doesn't feel it, even with what the characters are saying. I need to see some more suffering. But don't worry, we'll be on that. It's very interesting. I really am wondering how long Nakaba's going to play it. Now that he's reintroduced the body, reintroduced Percy in a comatose state, and shown that characters do care and are ready and willing to get him back, I'm genuinely wondering how long we're going to sit on this. With Nakaba, in particular, with Nakaba. I'm very interested. But, of course, we see that Pelgar naturally asks, okay, so you know he's alive, but where is he now? And Anne, which I do really like this. Heck, I really do. It has some issues still, regardless, but I really do like this. She says, I'm sorry. I can't tell you. Not that I don't trust you. You're clearly goated, but I'm sorry. We see Pelgar fully admit, no, I understand. I am your enemy, after all. And that is good. That is good. Not only the fact that Pelgar understands, but Anne also understands the danger of letting Pelgar know. Even if Pelgar doesn't find out, he's human. So he's in Camelot. Bro could accidentally snitch. Right now, by her informing Pel that Percy's still alive, by simply a Chaos Knight knowing that, whether that Chaos Knight is their enemy / ally, ally / enemy, all that, simply the fact that it's known is dangerous for Pelgar and for the crew. Because here's the thing, the reason Arthur's been so gung-ho, the reason Arthur's been, admittedly, a little bit nettled every time they free people and lower the size and scale of Camelot, the reason Arthur's been relatively peaceful, in very big, very hefty quotation marks, don't get me wrong, the reason Arthur's been peaceful is because he's under the assumption that Percy's gone. Prophecy is invalidated. That's fine. Not good, but fine. In the sense that, okay, now there's no worry, right? But if he finds out that Percival is alive, who knows what that nutcase will get up to? Generally, we have no clue. We have no clue. And here's the thing. By Pel knowing where he was, that's super dangerous. Because then Arthur could permanently end the prophecy. Wherever Percy is. I'm not sure. We don't get much of a sighting of his location. We just get a sleeping body with his brand new luscious head of hair. But it's very interesting. Presumably, they've kept him in some sort of, not going to say pocket dimension, but something similar. Or at least like in a bubble. Like maybe he's sleeping inside a trillion dark orb or something. Because having him anywhere that is easily accessible. Remember, Arthur just walked into Leonis is dangerous. But they don't know that. They don't know that Percy is still alive. Or at least Pelgar doesn't. The four evils. One of them doesn't know that Percival's still alive. They only know the remaining four knights and the crew. So that's dangerous. Letting him know for that level. And also, Pelgar's in a very dangerous situation regardless. Because if it is even remotely discovered, whether it be by Pelgar having a slip of the tongue, whether it be by someone with the ability to read minds, whether it be something along those lines, it is entirely, and I mean entirely likely, that somehow, some way, this information will leak. And Pelgar will be known as the source of the leak of information. And of course, that's going to lead Arthur naturally to one question. How did you find this out? Who told you? I'm sorry. You were told by who? The remaining members of Percival's crew? Who've been causing what? Throughout the entirety of our beloved holy sacred kingdom for how long? And you did what? And you didn't report them to me. Like, this is dangerous for Pelgar. Because the moment he's found out, on purpose or by accident, it doesn't have to be either. It doesn't have to be too much of crazy anything. By purpose or on accident. The moment they find out that Pelgar low-key committing a teeny tiny bit of that treason, he's cooked. I feel bad saying unfortunately, but there is leverage. His family, his wife is an easy weak point. Once Arthur finds out that Pelgar knows, all Arthur has to do is be like, Pelgar, I love you, my friend. So it pains me so deeply that you make me do this. And then Fiona will just appear. Once again, we don't know the full depth of control or realm sight or anything that Arthur has over Camelot. But presumably, he could easily get his hands on Fiona if he really needs to. And be like, Pelgar, I care for you so much that I could never, ever imagine harming you. But your beloved wife, oh, Oh, Pelgar, please don't make me tell me. How did you learn that thing is still alive? Like, I can already see it happening. So, giving Pelgar this information alone has put him in extreme amounts of danger. Telling him any more, extra danger. So I do like that this is all being built in, and it is also a nice, soft way to let our characters know more than the reader knows. So that's what's currently happening right now. Anne, Donnie, likely the GOAT, all of them know more than we do. Heck, Sylvan probably knows more than we do about Percival's location, which is a good thing. I do kind of like it. Typically, it's always backwards. It's always when we, as the reader, since we have, like, omniscient perspectives, it's a piece of fiction to us, we typically always have more information than the characters in the narrative, due to the ability for us to see multiple perspectives, leap up around everywhere, all that, transcend the narrative and stuff like that. But this is one of the few times where our cast and crew has a definitive leg up over us, which I like. I do like when narratives are not necessarily rebalanced, but balanced around the idea that characters, major ones, know things that the reader doesn't. Good stuff. However, we do get to see that Broski, who still, he does not, he's gonna perish. Or just never, like, I don't know why. At this point, it's getting actually a bit unreasonable that he doesn't have a name. It doesn't even, like, Pelgar's son, who we're likely never going to see again, or at least not see frequently, because, you know, he's an illusion, and Fiona both got names in their first introduction, of course, because Pelgar introduced them. But still, they got names. The fact that Nakaba still refuses to name this guy, especially considering he does clutch up for them right here after having his little character development moment, is actually kind of crazy. Like, he just not think of one? Just random name generator, bro. Like, you don't, you don't have to give him anything too deep. Just give him a name. But this guy comes in and he says, "We've got trouble. I heard a bunch of noise by the gate. It's likely our pursuers." Couple things. Number one, Beltripe. Why didn't you dive through the hole? Why didn't you chase him? They clearly escaped. Like, why didn't you just chase him? Like, bro, you sliced him and let him go. But Beltripe. Isn't that treason? But number one, they have pursuers. Two, I love how animated Sylvan is. I don't know. Just considering what he does later on in this chapter. I gotta praise him now. Before the fall. But I do love how animated Sylvan is from the to the like he's clearly tweaking a little bit. You know, I love me some tweaking Sylvan. But also I love how he says our pursuers. He has fully abandoned the dream of Camelot. The loss of his sister hasn't just made him be like, oh, well, I still don't like you guys, and now I don't have my sister, but I still believe Camelot's a good thing. Our pursuers. And of course, that could just go to the fact that he's guilty by association, which he most certainly is. But still, I do like to imagine there's an underlying layer there of saying our. He's fully accepted that he's now a Camelot escapee. He's transcended, in a way. He's transcended Camelot. However, we do get to see that the natural question from Anne is, you, where's your sister? Once again, she has to say you, because Nakaba just refused to give the guy a name. But we see that now that that's over, now that he's had his reconciliation, she's not a thing anymore. To the point where he just says, that can wait, hurry! He's freed himself from her, which is still a nice little character. I'm hoping Fiona gets free from it too, but this guy was a kid who grew up, and upon hearing the realization and the truth, disappeared just like that. Fiona most likely knows the truth. Her son has been 4 for the past 14 years. She's, if not from Camelot, she's been there for a while now. She knows. She knows that's not her kid. And ultimately, I think that does play into the dualistic nature, right? Like, another reason why I think Pelgar is so affectionate, so caring, so loving towards Percy, is because Percy is actually the chance of a son Pelgar will never have. He knows that thing masquerading around, wearing the face of his long-lost son, ain't his kid. He knows that. He knows that verbatim. And with that being the case, he probably barely feels any attachment to it. He's just happy for his wife. That she's happy. That she's living this false dream. But Pelgar, he woke up 14 years ago. He knows. He knows better. And considering the fact that it's been 14 years, very likely that these two ain't popping out another kid. It's going to just be Richard forever. Pelgard will never use his Richard again. That's so bad. But like, there's not gonna be another kid. So Pelgard is likely so happy to have Percival a son-like figure because he'll never actually get to experience being the father of a real child. Because, well, he'll never have a real child. Which is another sad layer to it. But, of course, we see Pelgard realize, oh, well, lovely, they saw us. So, this was something I did question last chapter. Pelgard is not the only person in this realm. That is a nice little development detail. He is, seemingly his whole castle's being controlled. I wonder why. Like, presumably, there should be no safer place, right, than the castle of one of the four evils, but there's a guy. If you can even call that a guy. Like, sweet mother of You know, I think Best Jeanist for My Hero Academia is a little weird. Because of how long his neck is. Like, don't get me wrong. Your boy... I mean, I can't really... I've large ears, but I wouldn't say... Even then, relatively speaking, I've seen people with larger ears than I. But, like, I wouldn't say I have the longest of necks. And I wouldn't say I have, like, no neck. Like, I've seen people with no neck. I've seen people with long neck. I've seen Best Jeanist. But what is this guy? And, like... Notably, there is some soft saving grace, maybe, by the fact that it appears, maybe, he may be two guys in a trench coat, I hope, or some sort of weird, because his mouth is up here, not down here, as the armor would imply, which means that his neck is just super long and his head is super tiny. As he says, "Hell yes. I saw it all. Me, with these very eyes here. Look at them." And one little detail that I do like, I really, really like, I do find it hilarious. Bro's neck is so long that he genuinely needs... Does he even have it in the rest? He does. He literally does have the finger that needs to point for... Because his neck is so long that he can't actually point to his eyes. Like, if he were to fully extend his arm, those eyes of his that he points out would not be able to be pointed out. Because his neck is that freakishly long. Like, I know I have a very diverse audience. Are any of your necks this long? If so, I deeply apologize. But, nasty. Hilarious. I do love this detail. I love the detail that he's pointing to himself with a pointer staff. Like, he doesn't even have a chaos staff on him. You can see that he doesn't have a chaos staff on him in any of these other shots. So unless this is his chaos staff, bro's main weapon and thing of choice is very specifically a staff to plant his eyes. But we see, bro didn't show up alone. He is surrounded by these beasts, by these monsters, by these callbacks to the not Cursed by Light, Grudge of Edinburgh movie. At least in terms of facial design and neck design. Specifically, the demon creatures that were from the Grudge of Edinburgh 2-part duology, they were very, very skinny, very, very slim, very, very lanky. Much more akin to Galland in terms of, base Galland particularly. Galland in terms of, like, size. But these guys, they're kind of a mix of multiple things. They kind of have the ball arm effect that Galland's nephew from Grand Cross and the Walnock arc. Walnock? Well, it's not Walnock. I think it is Walnock. Very similar design to Galland's nephew from the Walnock arc / Grand Cross in terms of the arm design. Just very beefy, bulky upper bodies and even thicker legs. Well, not thicker legs. Those chests are puffing. But, like, bell legs, too. So, like, these things are very interestingly built. But the face, at least, is seemingly enough. Maybe I think Nakoba has used the design detail before. But at least to me, this is just a straight verbatim callback to Grudge of Edinburgh. I'm not actually sure how those movies performed. I thought they were ugly. Like they aren't horrid. But, like, I thought they were ugly. And they were, like, I don't think, they were never released. Those were just Netflix exclusives, I'm pretty sure. So, like, I'm not sure how well either of those things did. But, hey, happy for Nakaba to be able to reuse designs. But with that being the case, we see that he says, I'm sorry. I almost want to give him the Vexen voice. And I suppose this is the Vexen voice. But I'm a scientist. I feel like that's even... I'm a scientist. Experiments are what I do. Yes. Like, I feel like I'm kind of just giving him the yes voice extended. But if I may, my lady, I couldn't help but notice through the vision of my empty servants. The quotation marks around empty implies to me that these may be mutates. And I forget. Once again, I watched part 2 of Resident Edinburgh once. I know the servant at the end of that movie that Tristan fought and had the full counterfest with. I know that was a conglomerate of like a demon, a goddess, a giant, a fairy, and something like that. But I forget if the whole construct army was. But the fact that he says empty vessel, I'm presuming these are like transform things. Or empty as in maybe he makes them out of something. In a similar vein to the Gorillas reference from My Hero Academia. There's a character in My Hero Academia who can shape things to their will and shape them into forms as they please. They aren't sentient. They're empty. Like, he typically uses fridges, for example. And they're around the size where he can make large, bulky people. And maybe something similar is happening here, where his magic is to enchant things and be able to see through them. In a very similar vein to Pain, or Nagato from Naruto, who can see through the eyes of the 6 paths of pain. This guy has every single sightline through these people. Whether they're actually people, or trapped demons, or trapped goddesses, or trapped fairies, or trapped anything that have been given this shape by him, or given this shape by his Chaos Staff or Arthur that now serve beneath him because he has no magical ability of his own, or it's just his innate magical ability, we do not know, and I don't think it's going to matter. Because, you know, this guy's going to be covered. But with that being the case, we see that he points out, if I may, my lady, I couldn't help but notice through the vision of my empty servants that your door's been darkened by several suspicious figures and a horse. I love how Sylvan's point out separate. Obviously, you know, suspicious figures would refer to humans, but the fact that Sylvan is mentioned separately is so funny to me. But we see that Fiona says, oh, you mean them? Of course. But of course, we also don't say of course again. Obviously, Big Papa Pell comes to the door and he's like, what's with all the racket, huh? What you saw were my old friends visiting. So, this is treason. This is treason. This is straight up treason. At least, like, there's no other way to interpret it. Because of one person being there. Gowther was spotted going into your house, Pelgard. Every Chaos Knight and they mama should know what all the 7 deadly sins look like by heart. Because you are ordered not to fight them. Like, dog. Like, if that, like, essentially you're saying that Gowther's your old friend. Like, it doesn't even matter that Anne, who's been, apparently, according to Pelgard, wreaking so much havoc in Camelot that her magic's well known about, and he's not willing to risk it. Forget that Donnie is the Donners, almighty and mighty. Almighty and mighty. He's so beefy and juicy and jacked and scrumdiddlyumptious that everything's going wonderful for him, and who knows what kind of havoc he's been causing. Forget him. Forget the random guy, and especially forget Sylvan. Oh, I wish we could have forgotten Sylvan this chapter. Well, actually, no. See, Sylvan, he's necessary. He's goated. So we'll get to him in a second. But the fact that Gowther was sighted walking into your home, and you're calling him an old friend? Pelgard, what you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Like, me personally, if I was Mr. Longneck over here, I'd be like, sir, are you telling me that you, Pelgard, the Black Knight of the 4 Evils, is in acquaintance with the goat Gowther? Like that would be my immediate thought process, but who knows how clear his vision was. They were spotted, and we do see that Mr. Longneck over here is like, well, Sir Pelgard of the 4 Evils. But you see, these suspects match the description of the Knights of Prophecy that Sir Beltalibé sent across Camelot. So like, come on now. The Knights of Prophecy? The description of the Knights of Prophecy? You're telling me Beltalibé didn't know what Gowther looked like and couldn't give his direct description? After he was explicitly affected by Gowther's magic? Like, This is treason. Like him by saying that, this is treason. But it doesn't get mentioned in this chapter, so who knows? It wouldn't be the first time that a Camelot soldier committed a very, very, very clear act of treason and just got away with it scot-free. Like, remember, Rosebank had not a single one of her other 6 allies. 5. Because Morlock got sealed away, and Nanashi was already gone by the point, you believe. But not a maybe not, I forget. But not a single one of her allies, 5 or more, commented when she literally armed their greatest enemy against Morlock. There was not a single comment made. Not a word was made about the fact that she committed the highest level of treason. Not only did she hide information from them, information as crucial as the last piece of the coffin of eternal darkness, which could be used to seal Meliodas away and save the rest of the Chaos Knights a whole bunch of trouble. Heck, maybe seal the whole Demon Clan away and save them even more trouble. No, she also armed Percival, the person who's going to bring the downfall of Camelot. We don't know what happened to her. Maybe some treason stuff did happen to her off screen. But as of right now, we don't know. She never got any treasonous applications here, and same thing for Pelgard. But that also may be due to like a position thing. Pelgard is much higher up on the food chain than Rosebank was. So while Rosebank may have been ignored because she's so low in the food chain and she's clearly very young, Pelgard may be ignored because he's so high up on the food chain. And also, he's much older. But with that being the case, we get to see that Pelgard is like, fine, go ahead. Search the entire castle. You were very, very loud. He's like, search the entire castle. I don't care. And we see that Mr. Longlegs says, don't let these suspects get away. They have gotten away. They must have moved. Like, I'm not sure how much time passes between this page and this page, but like, they moved expeditiously. Unless Donnie may have floated them down, though. They may have like leaped and Donnie caught them all again in a similar vein to him leaving that chaos hole. But like, this ain't no short drop. Like, this is a full grown tree coming out the side of Pelgard's house, and this is like at least 3, 4, 5 trees tall. So they made it all the way down here. This is like a whole bunch of my cursor. So the fact that they made it all the way down here so quickly, very, very interesting. However, we do get to see that the crew did escape. I'm sorry, I saw the panel, and I'm going to get nettled, but he's also the strongest, so I can't get too nettled. But we see that the man, because once again, he's just the man, the boy who became a man and accepted his character arc, was like, looks like we weren't spotted. And then we see that Donnie complains, "Yeesh! All we've done today is do the dash and try to make it go fast. Forget about the fame. I really do want some bands." I forget how the rest of that song goes. But we see that Gowther does give his own little form of comfort. He's like, hang in there, Donnie. You are still goated. Not me, though. You ain't like me, for real, for real. You are not the goat. You are simply goated. And we see that Anne straight up admits, I'm shocked as you are, but he was telling the truth that whole time. And Donnie, I do kind of wish that Donnie like read between the lines a little bit here, and I do like the detail of seeing them genuinely search the castle, and I like the detail of Richard holding on to Fiona being like, what's going on? But Donnie does bring up a pretty good point, because he's like, yeah, because he's scared of your magic, which is a very good reason. But also, Donnie, like, you smile here, bro. Don't you can't fool me, but you know that Pelgard's more allied than Op, like, quite clearly. Because like the what he did for y'all is crazy, considering what it could mean for his family and he himself and the information you just gave him. Donnie, you see the vision, Donnie. Don't play with me. But we do get to see that Anne straight up admits, well, I guess Percival is a good judge of character. Once again, sadly reminiscing over Percival and his ideologies. And remember, like I mentioned earlier, Percival did extend the offer. He did extend that hand to Pelgard. What are you doing in my hair? You will stay there, I guess. You refuse to leave. What are you doing there? I literally cannot tell where your depth is. What in the world? Whatever, it's going to stay stuff there. But Pelgard was extending the hand before. But now that we know why he didn't take it, he ain't taking it now. But we see that the goat, the greatest, Sylvan. It's a little itty bitty, like, it's not even I don't think it's like a what is it? What is it called? Centipede? It doesn't look like a centipede, doesn't look like a millipede. Just a bug crawls on Sylvan's leg, which is covered in fur, by the way. And he tickles him, and he goes, he lets out a whole sound. He snorts super duper loud. And like, Sylvan, bro, I get it. You're trying to flex your almighty powers in series and show off why you are, in fact, the strongest character to transcend fiction and reality itself. So you're calling Mr. Longneck so he can have an intense battle with you that shall shake the heavens, and you shall use your secret ability, Horse Stomp, to crush all of the Fortnite's fiction and even affect our real world. But like, dog, really? Like, don't get me wrong. I've definitely, especially when I was younger, I was very, very scared of bugs. And even still, I'm not scared anymore. Like, I just execute them now. Like, it don't even matter. Even the good bugs. I know spiders are arachnids. They're not bugs. But like, I don't know. If you're here, am I home? Well, you're getting gone. But, if they're outside, I'll even be. But man, dog, I get it. Like, bugs are awful and icky and squishy and like, especially when they're crawling on you. Like, I don't know. I know some people love the feeling of bugs or things crawling on them. But like, unless it's a baby, I don't like the idea. Well, or like a dog or a cat or like something, I guess, normal. But then again, people have pet bugs and stuff like that. But unless it's something normal, I also understand like the fear of the situation. If I were to just wake up or be walking along somewhere in the woods and a bug came up on me, but like, you had to scream that loud. Like, notably, they're all the way down here. And Sylvan screamed so loud that they were heard by one of these things all the way up there. Like you couldn't freaking geek any less quietly. Like, you're literally running for your... like, I don't know. I guess you gotta force the conflict somehow. It's very clear by how Pelgard treats the situation that he was willing to take the trees in charge. Like, he was willing to cover for them. But gotta have conflict. I mean, it still leads to something good. At least something I appreciate still. So, like, I can't get too mad at Sylvan, but I am still pretty mad at Sylvan. Like, of all the ways to force conflict into the chapter, it had to be by Sylvan just not being goated. Like, just not being good. There's no other way I can put it. Bro just woke up one day, today, and was like, you know what? I feel like being stupid. And, like, he had to yell at the top of his lungs, bro. Like, if it was a gigantic bug, I get it, but dog, like, come on, just ask someone to crush it. Or, like, nudge on somebody. Or, like, freak out quietly. Like, I don't know. I have friends who are also scared of bugs. And whenever, they freak out, well, okay, to be fair, most of them do scream. But they're friends who just, like they'll start stuttering. Or, like, they'll freak out quietly. Or, like, they'll leap. They'll jump. Like, I swear, she should be a high jumper. Like, I swear she broke a world record. Like, she saw, I think it was an ant. Once again, I don't get ants. Even Baby Bee, who's afraid of everything. I never got ants. Ants never bother me. You crush ants. But she saw an ant. I swear, she leaped like 3 times the couch's height. It was terrifying. It was terrifying to watch. And she's small. She's like 5'5". Well, I guess that's not small. I think that's like average height for a woman. But she's like 5'5", and she leaped like 15. And that's what it felt like, at least, as she just vaulted over the couch and pointed bug. So, Sylvan, bro, why you gotta be like this, dog? You're supposed to be that goat. Once again, I'm just gonna headcanon that Sylvan wanted a challenge. And thusly, he exposed them simply so he could flex his almighty gigalicious power. Or else I'm just going to get I'll just get nettled. Though we see that one of the empty vessels does look over and look down. And Mr. Longneck over here. This is such, like, Nakama, you have such freaky but good armor designs, bro. Like, what is this? How does one even conceive this, bro? What is this? Talk excited. He drops one of my favorite bars. I don't know what it is. It's so simple and stupid. But he goes, now we're cooking. I don't know what it is about that. It's the delivery. It's the fact that it's coming from this guy of all guys. It's the fact that it's, once again, coming from that super high mouth of his. It's likely on this end. Like, now we're cooking. I don't know. Something about hearing that in medieval times is hilarious to me. But we see that he declares, you can't escape us, you know. You will spread it for me. And we see that Donnie's like, oh no, I don't want to spread it. And they start running away. But Fiona naturally asks, so our visitors are on the run, honey? What's going on? And we see Pelgard declare, don't worry about it. just stay with Richard for me. I'm still not saying that kid's name. Never. But just stay with Richard for me. And we see the many empty servants go to run off and chase. And it is nice that Fiona... I mean, it's sad in a way. She's so disconnected from the world and presumably so isolated that all she cares about is this fake version of her son and maybe kind of sort of her husband. Maybe. Who knows? But she does seem to genuinely love Pelgar, though. And Pelgar seems to genuinely love her. I do think they still do have a loving relationship. But I do like that Pelgar... Another detail for Pelgar, he just doesn't inform her. When she's in danger, or possibly in danger, by being in the same room as the 4 knights and crew, after he introduces her and Richard, the illusion Richard, he's like, leave. You can stay out of this, don't worry. He's specifically taking care of her, which is a nice, sweet little detail as well. Though we see that long neck over here, though you can tell he like shrunk the length of his neck very specifically for this panel. He's like, Sir Pelgard, may I ask for your help in capturing these escapees? You know what I'd love to do with my finger staff. like, what do you really, like, are you really fighting somebody with that? Are you gonna 1,000 years of death him? But with one hand, with one finger? Can he summon a second one? Can he 2 finger poke somebody's eyes out? I don't know. But of course, we see that they're charging, they're running, they're doing the dash. And we see Gowther declare, that way. And Donnie goes, huh? And Gowther just points out, we're spotted. We may be cooked. And we see that Donnie is angry as he says, ugh, that stupid nag. Yeah, I'm sorry, Sylvan. Why? But why do you have to be so stupid? But we see they all charge in. But suddenly, the Donners is like, well, here it goes. He throws the hand out and grabs just one of them. He clenches. And notably, this is very impressive. It goes to show that he is capable of, like, breaking somebody's body. I'm not sure how he would do it, considering he does this, then crushes. I'm not sure how he would, like maybe he'd have to, like, bend his fingers backwards to do it. But he forces the guy to turn into, like, a ball. And then goes, and he 9 smashes through a whole bunch of the empty vessels. Once again, showing a further evolution of Donnie's magical abilities and prowess, which is very, very, very nice. I do love that the Donners is developing. Once again, it makes Am excited to see Nasians. Or the poisons he's amped or developed, or other interesting ways he can use previously existing poisons or amps he's gotten. But man, at least Anne in such a rough spot. Like, Donnie seems to be the only one who's drastically evolved. Sure, Anna's gotten better with her magic, but it's not like it's changed. It's not like she's evolved new tactics with it. It's not like she can have named attacks like this, or can develop in unique and crazy ways the way it is now. So I do feel a bit bad for her, but she has enough on her own. And we see that he ain't a big brother no more. But then we see the guy be like, wow, Donnie, I see why you're goated. And we see Donnie admit, no, I'm just not that goated. There's too many of them. There's too many of them. There's too many of them. Why, of all things, did my brain immediately leap to Shadow the Hedgehog and Charmy Bee? Why? I did that actually. Ooh. I felt filthy. Ooh. that sent shivers down my spine. Ooh, I don't feel right. But there's too many of them. I'm going to take a long, hard look in the mirror after doing that. I'm bothered by that got under my skin. But we see that as there's too many of them, they get lit up in the immortal fire. And they all burn away. And of course, Air recognizes the blaze. And she says, "This fire! No way!" And we see that Mr. Longneck over here is like, "What are you doing to my servants? I said I like them baked, not fried." And we see that Pelgar declares, "Move it. Get your foolish minions out of my way." So, he's big stepping. He's like, "Yo, I'm still him. What you trying to do, bro? Just because I committed treason doesn't mean you can act before me. I'm taking their lives. I think this is, once again, Pelgar saving them. He's an enemy in the loosest sense of the word. Because, why? So, like, even in context, and Pelgard's clearly not this prideful of an individual that he would actively stop an ally's attack when it was going to work, or do something, or help him in one way, shape, or form. And, like, he only does the immortal fire right before them. If you wanted to toast them alive, he would have toasted them alive. You mean to tell me Pelgard's magic can't reach 2 feet farther, get 2 feet bigger, and actually touch Anne? Or Sylvan? Or Donnie? And Gowther? And the brother? Like, come on. But we do get to see that, of course, Pelgard is still one of the 4 evils, presumably the highest ranking order of knight in Camelot. So, Longneck has to acquiesce. He's like, okay, fine, yes, sir, I'm sorry. Please don't slap me with your massive blazing meat. I'm not Fiona. And we see Pelgard say, once again, this is, I mean, maybe it's just like an honor thing or a pride thing, but once again, Pelgard's low-key just admitting treason, as he says, forgive me, all of you. I have to fulfill my duties as the Knight of the King. But, like, why are you apologizing to your ops, Pelgard? The ops that have been causing havoc throughout all of Camelot. Pelgard, why are you apologizing to them? Why did you break bread with these people, Pelgard? Why are they your old friend? The goat son of lust? But, like, I don't know, if I'm this guy, sure, I'd leave my empty servants, but quote-unquote Pelgard's gonna take care. I would scurry. And I'd snitch. Gotta get that promotion somehow. Maybe a spot will open up in the 4 evils real quick. Because, dog, what? I don't know. I may have to cop that real quick. You know what I'm talking about? Like, obviously, I wouldn't do it to Big Papa Pal if it was me. But, like, if I was this guy, there ain't no clearer case of treason than this. But we do get to see that Donnie realizes, dude, I may have gotten gains, but I am not Pelgard level. You have got to be kidding me. And we see that Gowther straight says, think about his position. Unless he defeats us, his family is clearly going to be in danger. Which is true. And you can even see it by Pelgard's look. He's like, yeah, kind of do have to do this. But also, his family's in danger regardless. Pelgard, cook him alive. Because if it's reported that the knights, the remainder of the 4 knights were in Pelgard's home, in his territory, and he did nothing about them until pressed, like they were lit up as his friend. Like, once again, I've been pushing this thing. He gonna be in big trouble, dog. He gonna be in some big trouble. But, of course, we see Pelgard. He frowns, but Gowther says, don't you forget, I am, in fact, the goat. As we won't be taking this sitting down, either. And we see, as Longneck over here says, I can see it. The pitiful end of this rebel squad. He gets crushed, smashed by Marion? Something of the sort. A big old wolf comes. Once again, not gonna be sneaking in some character stuff in them title pages. I was wondering how they're gonna get Gowther's arm back. I guess his leg is a lost cause, though. We don't see the leg in this chapter. Maybe it's on another dog. But we see the dog Marion rolls up, and he's got a little something plastered straight on his dome piece. Though, admittedly, I wonder, like, did the arm have to fire a bolt of magic and, like, pierce Pelgard's dog? And then the dog, like, picked up the arm and threw it up? Or, based on the fact that the arm can move later on this chapter, did it just straight lunge at the dog and be like, you're mine, and just immediately hijack its mind? I get it, it's a dog. And as much as I love dogs, they don't seem to be sentient. At least not mostly. I don't know. They can be trained. Like, I guess the whole argument of dog sentience and stuff like that. Like, we have deep connections to dogs for the most part. In some cultures, people don't. They eat them. But, like, I genuinely wonder how much mind there is to even erase or control here, or how much Gowther's overriding. But we see it does crush Longneck Boy, but notably, it doesn't attack Pelgard. Gowther does. As he asked, my pet is being controlled? And the arm, like, on some Tony Pro Skater, but like, wait, where I literally even have it. Where are you? It's right here. On some. Oh wait, do I not have it? No, I know you're supposed to be here. I know you're supposed to be here. Yes, on literally on some Tony Hawk's American Wasteland type beat. He literally straight up and verbatim does a kickflip off of Pelgard's dog. And then insta pierces him with a magic beam. And notably, a couple things about this. Number one, it does kind of imply that Gowther was holding back at 135. Like, despite it being his full body, despite the arm still being attached, Pelgard, while a shorter distance away from Gowther's firing arm and the beam he fired, he blocked it at 135. But this one pierces straight through Pelgard. He's not able to react or dodge or nothing. He simply isn't. The arm tags him cleanly. Number 2, this is a solid beam of light. Not like the arrows Gowther typically fires. So maybe that's the speed of the attack. And number 3, note how this attack looks. Since it's not a solid... Well, no, since it is a solid beam and not an arrow, we should get a name for it, right? At least here? Maybe. As we see, Gowther says... Well, first we see Pelgard start tweaking. He's like... Like, he does start losing his good mind. But we see that beneath Morayan, who is still under the control of Gowther, which is unironically hilarious to me. Where is he? Oh no, that's the tree on fire. Morayan may have broken free. But we see Longneck over there. It's like, it's a Pelgard! And we see that Gowther says, I call it Mindstorm. It confuses the target, making him do himself in. Star emoji. Gowther? What the heck, man? Like, don't get me wrong, obviously, Pelgard's an op right now. But it's so easy to forget that Gowther is easily the most terrifying of all the sins. At least ability-wise. Like, sure, the other sins could do more physical damage to you. Faster. Like, Mel can just wipe you from existence. Whether that be by burning you down to ashes, using the purgatory fire, and or, literally transforming into true magic and wiping you off of every plane of reality. Diane can bury you under a whole series of mountains at this point. Like the size of Mother Catastrophe, based on her current level of strength and based on what she's able to do in base now, she's probably at least dropping maybe an island, maybe a country on your dome. She may just hit you with Australia at this point. Throw a whole continent at you. Bon, he'll definitely tear out your heart, your lungs, your big toes. He'll rip them right off. King, easy decimation and destruction. Bro could turn you to stone and then shatter you, just like that. Or just vaporize you with Sunflower. Merlin has countless ways to get rid of you, whether it be Exterminate Ray, whether it be her fire spells, any of her elemental spells. She can teleport you to a volcano, infinite spells, or teleport you to space, throw you in purgatory. Numerous different ways to execute you. And of course, Escanor can just burn you alive. But in terms of just straight terror and existential horror, Gowther has it, and it's not close. This man's a monster. It's so easy to forget because he's such a silly character. He's not just a silly goose, but he is kind of just a silly goose now. So it's so easy to forget that this man is a demon. Made by a demon, and is a demon with his abilities. It is so terrifying. But we see, as he stumbles back, I'm not sure if this is true, but Pelgard stumbles back off his shield, and then he goes, I can't tell, this may be a scowl, this may be a smile, but I don't think this is Mindstorm. I believe Gowther in the sense that he does have an attack like Mindstorm. We've seen he's able to, rewrite memories very, very quickly. He has Rewrite Light, which specifically rewrites the memories of people to turn them against the original ideas. He can very quickly do that. Of course, it'll fall apart fast, but, still, he can do that. And he also has things like Lost World and stuff like that, many different ways to just delete somebody. But, if you'll remember, for all my original Seven Deadly Sins readers, it only happens once, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I forget what broadcast, that's it. This beam reminds me of broadcast. I don't think Gowther actually... Because remember, all of Gowther's attacks, we see it as recently as last chapter, those arrows, they pierce and then they stop. You know what didn't pierce and stop? This beam. So I'm convinced he just used broadcast, like he did all the way back in Season 1, to relay the plan to everybody. And by doing that, he's doing two things, right? Because notably, if this guy lives, now there's possibilities. By having Gowther introduced here and showing him Impale Pelgard with Invasion, and Gowther's abilities are wide known and well known at this point, this guy can now... Pelgard can easily lie. Like, Gowther could have easily told him, if I'm Gowther, right, and I want to keep Pelgard as an insider ally, someone who can be relied on and can be trusted, presumably based on the interaction, what I would do in this scenario, I'd use broadcast, and I'd tell him to do 3 things. Number 1, I would just I'd tell him to attack and, like, save us while we escape and something like that. Number 2, I would say, hey, use this as an excuse the entire way. Do it. If this guy survives, if you want to keep him around, say I tricked you from the start. The reason you saw me as your old friend and stuff like that is because of invasion. Lie. If it needs to come down to that. No one in Arthur's army that we've met so far has a variation of Anne's ability. None of them could tell if Pelgard was lying. So if he comes up with that, he has this guy as a witness. And number 3, tweak. Go crazy. If you don't want to keep that guy alive, light him up. Just pretend that since you were hit by invasion, you were commanded to attack all Camelot allies. You need to be stopped in a similar vein of what happened to that one guy of the Dark Talismans all that time ago. It's as simple as that. So I don't think it's as easy as Pelgard genuinely fighting the urge to get rid of himself, as Gowther mentions with Mindstorm. But I do believe Gowther has Mindstorm, and I do believe Pelgard is still goated. So I think there's good things to come. But unfortunately, this is the end of the chapter. It's why I said the chapter is pretty short yet sweet. The chapter itself, excluding the cover page, is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 pages. It's only a 14-page chapter, which is admittedly not too much shorter. It's around like 5 to 6 pages shorter. Typically, similarly, since chapters run from like 19, well, Fortnite's chapters, they run from like 19 to 20 pages, not including cover pages, and I guess including spreads, because spreads would count as a 2-pager. But no, this chapter is very simple, very clean. A little bit of progression happens in this chapter, but I'm still very, very happy for it. Once again, wonderful character work in this chapter by Pelgard, wonderful character work by our cast and crew. This guy perturbs me, but I find his design funny as much as I find it creepy, and I love the detail of the hand staff. The introduction of this new threat, Pelgard being able to use his magic and seeing him suit up is fantastic. And as a byproduct of this relatively short chapter, this is one of the most complete chapters we've gotten. There are minor little things of art where you can tell Nakaba may have ran out of time, or maybe I'm just looking too hard. But even still, it's like 3 things, maybe even 2. Because like maybe here, Pelgard's armor's missing a little bit of detailing, so maybe Nakaba ran out of time, just forgot to just quickly crosshatch. Maybe here, you could argue that he forgot some armor detailing here. Like, yeah, I'd say it's a little too, this sounds bad, it's a little too white. Like, there should definitely, like, if I were to draw it, I'd put, like, a few more hatches here and, like, hatches here, just so it parallels this. So it completes the image of, like, the Dark Knight. Like, notably, the black does stop going this way. You do have a white end and a white rim, but there is definitely meant to be some sort of cross-hatching here. So that's a little bit incomplete. And maybe these background characters still, I don't think so. And then finally, maybe this one is incomplete, but even then, that could just be argued to display motion. As I've gone in before, how Nakaba uses the principles of animation in still images in order to convey motion. So this doesn't even really count. So 2 very minor things. The chapter is complete. Maybe short, but it is complete. So overall, a very, very, very W chapter. However, that is what I think. Please let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Other than thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any video. I don't know how many of you clicked away. You know what time it is. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave Empty Blaze. Empty Blaze. I don't know why. I'm combining those 2 in particular because, one, we get to see the immortal fire, the immortal blaze again after all this time, and the guy used the word empty vessels. Or at least empty servants. So, like, Empty Blaze. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave that in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the 25-minute live reaction to this very chapter and an ad-free variation of this and all my videos. Now, I would like to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members for Connor Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Atkins Void. I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons Victor, Sean, RNG Master, Midnight Gemlord, Metal Solid Crisis, Kevin, Igneal, and Demix LND. I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 member Autumn's Morning Lazo. I'd like to give another chunk of thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, iDemokami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a fat, juicy, scrumdiddlyumptious thank you to our wonderful $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another hefty, defty, trifty, nifty thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.